We start Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 247, the decisive battle in the uninhibited demon-infested Shinjuku Part 19, with Hiromi Higuruma ready to fight Sukuna. The building they're in has been slashed to pieces, but that's not going to slow him down. Sukuna is surprised that the lawyer's not only still standing after a blow that should have killed him, but that he kept the sword of justice up. He had to use domain amplification to block that last attack. It could have canceled Judge Man's verdict, forcing Higuruma to try and redo the trial and risk losing his one-hit kill blade. But no, Higuruma was able to pause the sword, just like Sukuna paused Mahoraga's adaptation while fighting Gojo. Even for the King of Curses, that took effort. Sukuna grins. Higuruma's actually reaching that special grade skill level. He's finally catching up. For the first time, Sukuna says Higuruma's full name. He's ready to acknowledge him as a worthy opponent, someone who matters enough for Sukuna to remember his name. Hiromi meets his gaze, not reacting to the sudden familiarity. Sukuna's eyes narrow, actually taking this fight seriously. Yuji is only just starting to catch up, and he is shocked by the devastation. It's too late for him to intervene. The entire area Higuruma is standing on gets reduced to rubble by Sukuna right in front of Yuji's eyes before he can join the fight. The whole area has been devastated into thousands of shards. Yuji's stuck on the ground. Higuruma's keeping his footing on a piece of rubble, while Sukuna is still a few feet above him. This complicates things, but the lawyer is close enough to try and end this. Higuruma charges across the falling chunk of building, running right at the King of Curses, rubble falling around him. Higuruma leaps up, clenching his teeth, ready to land his killing blow. But then he stops, shocked as a ton of rocks head in his direction. Sukuna won't even need to use a technique to end his life. The rubble will do it. But before it lands, Yuji jumps in front of his friend, pummeling the rock into tiny shards before it can knock Higuruma out. That's what having backup can do for you. Yuji's really gotten this massive jump thing down ever since that first fight. Before his fist can connect with Sukuna though, the four-arm sorcerer catches Yuji's hand, stopping his punch. Sukuna's quick, putting his own palm to Yuji's side before he can land another hit. The young sorcerer looks down. One touch from Sukuna is enough to eviscerate him, carving a grid of slashes right across his torso. Sukuna isn't just playing with them, he's playing tic-tac-toe here. Blood sprays over Yuji's face. That slash was far more intense than anything he took the last time he fought Sukuna, when Megumi was holding back his cursed energy. For now, Yuji is out of the fight. Sukuna tosses the main character away like he's nothing, throwing him right off of the rubble platform. The King of Curses looks disappointed. He's had enough of his former host, barely even looking at him. As far as he's concerned, there is nothing interesting about that brat. Yuji hits the ground along with the rest of the ruined building, his body lost in the cloud of debris. Sukuna and Higuruma both land with more grace. One on the roof, one on the ground, ready for the fight to pick back up. Higuruma is ready for Sukuna, lunging repeatedly with the executioner's blade as the distance between them was reduced. One scratch will be enough to end the fight. Speed is going to beat strength here, but Sukuna ducks beneath him. Now that he's close, he punches Higuruma from the side, hitting him in the jaw with one arm and elbowing him with the second. Higuruma doesn't even flinch, turning the executioner's blade around. He faces away from Sukuna, trying to hide the angle of his next attack as he focuses on the blade, increasing its size to fit a two-handed grip. Now he has a greatsword. Higuruma wheels around, slashing at the spot where the sorcerer had just been a second ago. The ancient curse had jumped away, hovering in the air upside down in front of another wrecked building. Sukuna brings his hands together, already intoning a very familiar chant as he grins at Higuruma. Scale of the Dragon, Recoil, Twin Meteors. It's the same technique he used against Gojo and Kashimo, the one that ended them. This is the thing he learned from Mahoraga, the world-cutting slash that targets everything. The building Higuruma is standing on is carved up. Massive chunks of cement are falling away. Sukuna stands there, above the steel beams he's cut right through. There's smoke rising from below. Half-broken pipes are emitting steam. Sukuna's not smiling anymore. The challenge has started to fade. He's got a simple request for Higuruma. He needs to heal himself. Higuruma did not get out of that attack clean. He's lost an arm and his sword is fading. Domain amplification was not enough to stop that technique, just like Gojo's Limitless was not enough to beat it. Higuruma's down on one knee, trying to get back up. Still, he finds it funny. He thought he was this calm, resolved, cool fighter. But right here, facing off with Sukuna, all he can focus on is the pain. He's not getting up fast enough, and Sukuna is disappointed. Is this really as far as he can go? Just as Higuruma gets back on his feet, Sukuna throws out more slashes, severing the lawyer's remaining arm and laying into his legs. The sword is lying on the ground now. Sukuna is not impressed by a guy that can't even heal himself. His new opponent has already reached his limit. Sukuna threatens Higuruma to use reverse curse technique, or else he'll sever his head, ending their fight immediately. The ancient sorcerer grins, taunting the lawyer, encouraging him to try his best since otherwise he's going to die. Higuruma thinks back to his conversation with Yuji. He was at peace with dying there so long as he could help in the fight. He had a role to fill. He'd do it, then die. And Higuruma hasn't managed to do much just yet. Sukuna reaches out a hand towards the fallen lawyer, about to finally end it. But then a beam of super fast moving liquid hits Sukuna's hand, piercing blood. Sukuna parries the blast easily, more annoyed by Choso's interruption than worried about it. The guy's just being stubborn. But this gives Higuruma the time he needed. He's back on his feet with a freshly grown arm holding the executioner's blade. Higuruma really did just learn reverse curse technique in a few seconds. Sukuna glared at the lawyer, who dared try and hit him while he's distracted. But it's too late. Higuruma's right on him, executioner's blade in hand, lunging forward. And it hits. The sword goes right through Sukuna's hand. Higuruma looks up, barely able to believe what he just pulled off. It's over. Sukuna should be dead. But no. The hand falls away as Sukuna starts to grow another. He gives Higuruma a few simple words of acknowledgement. The new sorcerer actually did okay. The lawyer is shocked as he realizes what Sukuna just did. He cut off that hand before the executioner's blade could pierce him. After all, it's simple enough for him to regrow it. That was his one shot at ending this. And Higuruma's face contorts in pain now that it's failed. He's not going to get another chance at this. He thinks back to a conversation he had with Kusakabe about curses. He had a question for the old sorcerer. Kusakabe confirmed that any curse grows stronger after death, so the plan Higuruma had formed might be viable. Higuruma had decided on this idea even then as a backup plan. It's time for him to play his role. With his last bit of strength, instead of trying to desperately heal his wounds with reverse curse technique, Higuruma throws something. It is a tiny little object, but a vital one. The cross. The hilt at the heart of his executioner's blade. So even as Higuruma falls down, having lost his legs, spilling blood from his mouth, Sukuna is confused because the blade has been thrown into the air and Yuji Itadori catches it. Yuji was torn apart just a few seconds ago. It seems to be implied that Higuruma was the only person in the meeting that didn't have reverse curse technique. Yuji's been learning from other sorcerers, so him having access to it now too would make sense. This and the whole new arms thing are still unexplained. Yuji hadn't expected this. He has the hilt of the sword cupped in his hand, but he tries to meet Higuruma's gaze one last time. The lawyer's eyes are starting to glaze over, but he manages a smile echoing Kento Nanami's last words. "You've got it from here." Yuji knows exactly what that means. Higuruma's grinning, even as he's bleeding his last. In his death, he has found his true role. He is a Jujutsu sorcerer, and through his death, he is turning his curse technique into something greater than before. So now, the executioner's blade is in Yuji's hand, flaring back to life, and aimed right at Sukuna's back. So it looks like Higuruma did the same thing that Mai did, giving up his life to empower someone else to fight for him. It seems like the executioner's blade might be a cursed tool now. But I wonder if Higuruma is going to end up inhabiting the blade like Mai ended up inside the Soul Splitter katana. Because yeah, even though Higuruma now has reverse curse technique, he is not surviving that. He got the Nanami callback and the chance to make his death matter. This is Yuji's fight now. But will this be enough to kill Sukuna? It could be, but I doubt it. This is supposed to be an instant, guaranteed kill effect. And it should have been pretty hard to predict that it would be used like this. For all we know, Gege could be clearing out both Sukuna and Kenjaku, ready for whatever Kenny meant by his will being inherited. But with how overpowered and crafty Sukuna is, don't take anything for granted. His last big fight took 13 chapters. It's not over till it's over. You never know what the King of Convenience will have in store to save himself from destruction. But leave us your best guess for how Sukuna gets out of this one in the comments. Poor Higuruma just got to gojo level and is already headed to the airport for his final destination. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.